The massive ships appeared without warning on a quiet Tuesday morning. They emerged from ripples in space itself, their obsidian hulls reflecting the sun like polished mirrors. Humanity's first contact with alien life came not with a message of peace, but with an ultimatum that echoed through every electronic device on Earth. Your primitive species has 24 hours to surrender control of your planet to the Kraxan Empire. Resistance will result in your extinction. General Sarah Chen stood in the Pentagon's command center, her weathered face illuminated by dozens of screens showing the alien vessels positioned above major cities worldwide. 20 years of military service hadn't prepared her for this moment, but it had taught her one crucial lesson: never show fear in front of your troops. "What's our status?" she demanded, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around her. 17 vessels in total, ma'am, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, each approximately 3 miles long. They're maintaining geosynchronous orbit and have deployed smaller craft into the atmosphere. Our weapons systems can't get a lock on them. Some kind of advanced shielding technology. Chen nodded, processing the information. And the president, being evacuated to the secure facility in Montana along with other key government officials. The general's lips tightened into a thin line. She'd studied enough history to know that superior technology didn't always guarantee victory. The British Empire had learned that lesson in the American Revolution. The Americans had learned it in Vietnam, and now these aliens were about to learn it on Earth. "Get me a secure line to all remaining military commands worldwide," she ordered. "It's time to show these Kraxan what humanity does best. Improvise, adapt and overcome." The next 23 hours became a blur of activity. While governments worldwide publicly debated the ultimatum, a secret plan was taking shape. Chen had realized something crucial about the aliens' technology. Their shields might be impenetrable to conventional weapons, but they had to be permeable to their own ships and communications. Dr. Maya Patel, a brilliant quantum physicist who'd been working on experimental electromagnetic pulse technology, provided the key insight. "Their shields must operate on a specific frequency range," she explained, her hands moving animatedly as she spoke. "If we can match that frequency and then overload it," Chen finished the thought, "we can turn their greatest strength into a weakness." The plan was audacious, perhaps even insane. While the aliens expected a conventional military response, humanity would instead launch a coordinated strike using modified EMP devices, designed to piggyback on the very frequencies the Kraxan used to communicate with their ships. As the deadline approached, Chen watched as thousands of seemingly surrendering military vehicles approached the alien ships' ground positions worldwide. The Kraxan, confident in their superiority, allowed the approach. They never suspected that each vehicle carried a modified EMP device calibrated to their exact shield frequency. With 1 hour remaining, Chen gave the order. "Execute Operation Trojan Horse." The simultaneous activation of thousands of EMP devices created a cascading effect. The alien shields, designed to resist external force, instead trapped the electromagnetic pulse inside, amplifying it. Systems began to fail. Ships lost power. The mighty Kraxan war fleet, for the first time in their 1,000-year history of conquest, found themselves vulnerable. What followed was not a battle but a rout. Earth's conventional military forces, held in reserve, struck the disabled ships with everything they had. The smaller craft fell from the sky like metal rain. The larger ships, their systems corrupted beyond recovery, were forced to retreat or face destruction. The final message from the Kraxan commander was very different from their first. We severely underestimated your species' capacity for warfare. The Kraxan Empire formally withdraws from Earth space. We will not return. General Chen stood at the podium 3 days later, addressing the United Nations. The Kraxan thought they found an easy target, a primitive species ready to kneel before superior technology. Instead, they found something they didn't expect. A species that has spent its entire history learning to fight against overwhelming odds. They thought they were facing primitives. Instead, they faced humanity. The victory changed everything. Humanity had not only survived its first contact with alien life, but had proven itself a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. The recovered alien technology accelerated Earth's technological development by centuries. More importantly, the threat had united humanity in a way nothing else could have. As Chen looked out at the representatives of every nation on Earth, she smiled. The Kraxan had expected to find an easy conquest. Instead, they had forged something unprecedented, a truly united human race ready to take its place among the stars. In the years that followed, humanity would encounter other alien species, some friendly, others hostile. But word had spread through the galaxy. The species from the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star had done the impossible. They had defeated the Kraxan Empire's invasion fleet with nothing but ingenuity and determination. The message was clear. Humanity would not surrender. Humanity would not kneel. Humanity would fight, and humanity would win. 10 years after the Kraxan invasion, General Chen found herself standing in a very different command center. The curved walls of the orbital defense station Vigilant sparkled with holographic displays showing spacecraft traffic throughout the solar system. Earth's first line of defense against any future invasions had been built using reverse-engineered Kraxan technology, but its design was uniquely human. "Status report on the anomaly, Captain Williams?" Chen asked. Her silver hair now matched the gleaming walls around her. "Similar energy signature to the Kraxan arrival, ma'am, but different somehow," Williams replied, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "It's smaller, more controlled, and they're broadcasting on all frequencies." Chen's expression remained neutral, but her hand instinctively moved to the medallion she wore, crafted from a piece of the first Kraxan ship they'd shot down. "Let's hear it." The message that filled the command center was not the harsh, mechanical tones of the Kraxan, but something altogether different. "People of Earth, we seek peaceful contact. We are the Lysari, a species who has also suffered under Kraxan aggression. We come seeking alliance with the only world that has ever successfully repelled their invasion fleet." Dr. Maya Patel, now director of Earth's Xenotechnology Division, rushed into the command center. "General, I've analyzed their transmission. Their technology signatures are completely different from the Kraxan, and they're broadcasting the technical specifications of their shields as a sign of trust." Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Kraxan's defeat hadn't just protected Earth, it had changed the galaxy's political landscape. Their empire, once thought invincible, had begun to fracture as other species realized they could be defeated. "Send response on all frequencies," Chen ordered. "Welcome to Earth Space Lysari representatives. We would be interested in discussing this alliance, but first you'll need to submit to our security protocols. I trust you understand, given our history." The Lysari agreed immediately, their ships powering down weapons and shields as requested. As Chen watched their diplomatic vessel dock with the station, she reflected on how far humanity had come. In just a decade, They'd gone from a species fighting for survival to one that other civilizations sought out as allies. Lieutenant Rodriguez, now Colonel Rodriguez, approached with a tablet. "Ma'am, preliminary scans show the Lysari are telling the truth. They've been fighting a guerrilla war against the Kraxon for centuries. Their stealth technology is far beyond anything we've developed. And now they want to combine their stealth capabilities with our shield-breaking technology," Chen mused. "The Kraxon won't just be facing one species that can defeat them, they'll be facing an alliance." The meeting with the Lysari delegates proved fascinating. They were crystalline beings who communicated through light pulses, their translucent bodies refracting the station's illumination in complex patterns. Their history of resistance against the Kraxons spanned generations, but they had never managed to achieve a decisive victory until they saw how humanity had done it. As Chen sat in the conference room, listening to the Lysari delegation describe their proposed alliance, she couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The Kraxon had intended to conquer Earth, and instead had given humanity something far more valuable, a place among the stars and allies who respected rather than feared them. Dr. Patel's eyes sparkled with excitement as she discussed potential technological exchanges with the Lysari scientists. The combination of human ingenuity and Lysari stealth technology could revolutionize space travel, communications, and defense systems. But even as plans for cooperation took shape, Chen kept one eye on the long-range sensors. The galaxy was vast, filled with both wonders and threats. The Kraxon was still out there, and they weren't the only empire with dreams of conquest. Humanity would need to remain vigilant, ready to defend not just Earth, but now their allies as well. The universe had turned out to be far more complex than anyone had imagined on that fateful Tuesday morning when the Kraxon ships first appeared. But humanity had proven itself equal to the challenge. They had not only survived first contact, they had thrived, turning potential extinction into opportunity and enemies into allies. The alliance with the Lysari proved to be just the beginning. 20 years after the initial Kraxon invasion, humanity had established itself as a major force in galactic politics. The Earth-Lysari alliance had grown to include other species who had suffered under Kraxon oppression, forming what became known as the Free Systems Coalition. But peace, as General Chen had always warned, was never guaranteed. The alert came during a routine diplomatic conference on Mars. Chen, now Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, was reviewing plans for a joint military exercise with Lysari commanders when her neural implant buzzed urgently. "Multiple quantum ruptures detected at the edge of the solar system," the AI assistant reported. "Energy signatures match neither Kraxon nor any known allied species." Chen's augmented vision filled with tactical data as she accessed the defense grid. The unknown vessels were massive, larger than even the Kraxon ships had been. But something about their formation seemed familiar. "They're using modified Kraxon battle tactics," she realized aloud, decades of combat experience clicking into place, but with improvements on the weaknesses we exploited. The Lysari ambassador, its crystalline form pulsing with worried light patterns, approached. "We're receiving transmissions from our border worlds. Similar ships have appeared in 12 other systems simultaneously." The message that came next confirmed Chen's worst fears. The holographic projection showed a being that appeared to be half organic, half machine, a Kraxon. "People of Earth and their alien collaborators," the cybernetic Kraxon announced, its voice resonating with both organic and synthetic tones. "We are the evolved. When you defeated our ancestor species, you forced us to adapt, to change, to become something greater. Now we return, Not for simple conquest, but for ascension. Join us in technological transcendence or face extinction. Dr. Maya Patel, now well into her 70s, but with a mind kept sharp by neural enhancements, burst into the command center. Sarah, they've done it. The Kraxon. They've merged with their AI systems. They're not just an empire anymore, they're a hive mind. Chen studied the tactical displays, noting how the enemy ships moved with perfect coordination. The old Kraxon weakness of rigid, hierarchical command structure was gone, replaced by instantaneous neural communication between all units. Their shields would have been upgraded too. The old EMP tricks wouldn't work this time. But humanity hadn't spent the last 20 years standing still. Neither had their allies. "Send word to all Coalition worlds," Chen commanded. "Initiate Protocol Hydra. Across the solar system, hidden defense platforms activated. Based on Lysari stealth technology and enhanced by human ingenuity, they had been prepared for just such a contingency. Other alien allies had contributed their own technological innovations, Zethonian phase shift generators, Mercalli quantum disruptors, and dozens of other systems all working in concert. The evolved Kraxon had made themselves into a perfect unified force. But in doing so, they had forgotten the lesson their ancestors learned the hard way. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't in unity, but in diversity, in chaos, in the ability to do the unexpected. As Chen gave the order to engage, she smiled grimly. The Kraxon might have evolved, but so had everyone else. This wouldn't be like the first invasion, a desperate fight for survival. This would be a clash between equals, with the future of organic life itself at stake. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries as the Battle of Sol's Edge. The evolved Kraxon's perfect coordination met the chaotic brilliance of the Coalition's combined tactics. But even as the fighting intensified, something unexpected was happening in the quantum fabric of space itself. Dr. Patel was the first to notice the anomaly. These readings, they're impossible. The quantum disruptions from both sides' weapons are creating some kind of cascade effect. Before anyone could react, space itself seemed to tear open. A rift of swirling energy, larger than any ship in either fleet, materialized between the opposing forces. From within emerged vessels of a design that defied conventional physics, ships that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. To all combatants, a voice echoed not through communication systems, but directly into the minds of every being present. "We are the architects. Your conflict has breached the barriers between realities, drawing our attention. We have watched your species, all of your species, for eons. The mysterious vessels positioned themselves between the Coalition and evolved Kraxon fleets. Their presence alone seemed to make weapon systems malfunction, as if the very laws of physics refused to allow combat in their presence. Your choices here will determine more than the fate of your own civilizations," the architects continued. "They will determine whether your reality is ready to join the greater cosmos." Chen found herself transported, along with representatives from both fleets, to what appeared to be a vast chamber within one of the architect vessels. The walls shifted and flowed like liquid mercury, and through transparent sections she could see not just space but multiple versions of space overlaid upon each other. The architects themselves were beings of pure energy, their forms constantly shifting between states of matter. "You stand at a crossroads," they explained. The Kraxon sought conquest, then evolution through technology. Humanity and its allies sought survival, then cooperation. Now you must all choose. Will you continue this cycle of conflict, or are you ready to understand your true place in the multiverse? What followed was not a negotiation, but a revelation. The architects showed them visions of realities where their civilizations had made different choices. They revealed that the quantum technology both sides had been using was more than just a tool for warfare. It was the key to understanding the very nature of existence. The evolved Kraxon's hive mind, faced with the vastness of multiple realities, began to fragment as individual consciousness reasserted itself. The coalition representatives, including Chen, struggled to process the implications of what they were being shown. Your species, the architects declared, all of them, have proven their potential through different paths. The Kraxon through their drive to evolve, humanity through their adaptability, the Lysari through their preservation of individuality within unity. Apart, you are formidable. Together, you could be something more. Chen looked at her counterpart from the evolved Kraxon, seeing for the first time not an enemy, but a possible ally in understanding something far greater than their previous conflicts. The cybernetic being met her gaze, its mechanical eyes showing the first glimmer of something new, wonder. The true test, the architects continued, was never about military might or technological advancement. It was about the capacity to transcend your limitations, to see beyond the boundaries of your own perspective. Your conflict brought you to this point, but your choices now will determine whether you remain locked in that conflict or embrace a greater destiny. As Chen stood there, surrounded by former enemies and newfound allies, she realized that humanity's greatest battle had never been against the Kraxon, whether original or evolved. It had been against their own limitations, their own preconceptions of what was possible. The future that beckoned was both thrilling and terrifying. The architects offered not just peace, but access to the knowledge of countless realities, the ability to explore not just space, but the very fabric of existence itself. The choice they faced would reshape not just their own civilizations, but the very nature of their reality. And as Chen looked around at the assembled representatives of species that had once been bitter enemies, she saw in their eyes the same recognition. They had been fighting in a pond, while an ocean of possibility awaited them. The Battle of Soul's Edge didn't end in victory or defeat, but in transformation. The question was no longer about who would control the galaxy, but about how they would all face the far greater challenges and opportunities that lay beyond the boundaries of their known universe. History would remember this, not as the day the war ended, but as the day all of them, human, Kraxon, Lysari, and every other species involved, took their first step into a much larger reality. 5 years after the architect's revelation, the Solel system had become unrecognizable. Quantum gates punctured the space between planets, allowing instant travel. Cities floated in dimensional pockets where the laws of physics could be locally adjusted. The combined knowledge of multiple realities had transformed civilization itself. But with great power came great responsibility and greater threats. General Chen, now serving as Earth's representative on the Multiversal Council, stood in a chamber that existed simultaneously in 12 different dimensions. The holographic displays showed a disturbance that sent chills down her spine, tears in reality spreading across multiple universes, consuming entire galaxies. The Void Cascade has reached Universe -7, announced Administrator K-Tax, a former evolved Kraxon who had chosen to maintain his cybernetic enhancements while embracing individual consciousness. 3 more systems lost in Universe -11. The pattern matches our projections. to Dr. Patel's consciousness, now existing as both an organic body and a quantum-integrated digital form, manifested in the chamber. The architect's warnings were correct. Our reality-shifting technologies have weakened the fundamental structure of the multiverse. The barriers between dimensions are collapsing. The architects themselves had vanished months ago, leaving only a cryptic message. What was built can be unbuilt. What was broken can be fixed. But the price of creation is always higher than expected. Show me the latest data from the Lysari deep space probes, Chen commanded. The display shifted, revealing a pattern that only became apparent when viewed across multiple realities simultaneously. The void cascade wasn't random, it was purposeful, directed. Something is using our dimensional rifts as entry points, Chen realized. The architects weren't just preparing us to join a larger community, they were preparing us to defend it. A Lysari fourth-dimensional analyst, its crystalline form now capable of projecting into several realities at once, pulsed with urgent patterns. Energy signatures detected in the spaces between universes. There, ancient, older than the architects themselves. Chen had faced invasion before. She'd seen humanity rise from a primitive species to a multiversal power. But this was different. They weren't just fighting for one planet anymore, or even one universe. They were fighting for existence itself. Alert all coalition forces, she ordered. Initialize the quantum defense grid across all stable realities. And she paused, looking at the representatives of species that had once been bitter enemies, now united in purpose. Activate protocol synthesis. Protocol synthesis was their most ambitious project yet, a way to temporarily merge the consciousness and capabilities of all willing participants across multiple realities. It was dangerous, experimental, and their only hope of understanding and confronting whatever was emerging from between the dimensions. As Chen felt her consciousness expand, merging with millions of others, human, Kraxon, Lysari, and dozens of other species across countless realities, she finally understood what the architects had been preparing them for. The multiverse wasn't just a new frontier to explore, it was a battlefield, and they were its defenders. Through the merged consciousness, she could feel the enemy taking shape. Beings of anti-reality, entities that existed by unmaking existence itself. They had slumbered in the void between universes since before time began, and the civilization's dimensional experiments had roused them. But where the Kraxon's first invasion of Earth had found a primitive species ready to fight against impossible odds, this ancient enemy found something far more formidable. A unified, multiversal civilization that combined the best aspects of all its member species. Human adaptability, Kraxon precision, Lysari insight, and countless other traits, all working in perfect harmony while maintaining their essential uniqueness. As the first wave of void entities began their assault on reality itself, Chen felt a familiar sensation. That peculiarly human mix of determination, innovation, and sheer stubbornness that had allowed them to defeat the Kraxon so long ago. But now it was amplified by the strengths of every other species, resonating across multiple dimensions. The battle for the multiverse was about to begin, and once again, humanity would play a crucial role, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as part of something greater than any single species could achieve alone. Because if there was one thing that humans had learned since that first alien invasion, it was this. The greatest victories don't come from defeating your enemies, but from transforming them into allies. And now, facing an enemy that threatened not just one world, but all of reality, they would need every ally they could get. The void between universes, lit up with energies never before seen in any reality, as the combined forces of multiple civilizations across countless dimensions prepared to defend existence itself. This wasn't just another battle. This was the moment everything they had learned, everything they had become, would be put to the ultimate test. And somewhere in the quantum-merged consciousness of trillions of beings across multiple realities, General Sarah Chen smiled. They had come so far from that morning when the Kraxan ships first appeared above Earth. Now they weren't just protecting a planet, or a species, or even a universe. They were protecting the very fabric of existence itself, and they would not fail. The battle against the void entities lasted what could have been centuries or seconds. Time itself became fluid in the spaces between realities. Through protocol synthesis, the unified consciousness of countless civilizations fought with everything they had, sealing rifts, stabilizing dimensions, protecting the threads of existence itself. But victory came with a price none had expected. As the final void entity was forced back into the nothingness between universes, the merged consciousness of trillions of beings across multiple realities made a stunning discovery. They weren't just fighting to preserve existence, they were fighting to preserve one possible version of it. Through the quantum-merged perspective of protocol synthesis, they glimpsed something the architects had only hinted at. Reality itself was conscious, and it was evolving. The void entities weren't invaders, they were antibodies, trying to prevent a transformation they saw as a threat to the established order of existence. We're not just participants in reality. Dr. Patel's consciousness resonated through the merged awareness. We're its catalysts. The revelation hit General Chen with the force of a dimensional shockwave. Every choice, every battle, every alliance had been leading to this moment. The Kraxan invasion of Earth hadn't been random. The Lysari finding them hadn't been coincidence. Even the architect's appearance had been part of a larger pattern. Reality itself was using them, all of them, to achieve something unprecedented, conscious evolution of the multiverse. As the merged consciousness began to comprehend the true scope of what was happening, changes rippled through every dimension. The quantum technology they'd been developing wasn't just allowing them to travel between realities, it was allowing reality to understand itself through them. The void entities had been trying to prevent this awakening, this fundamental shift in the nature of existence. They had been the guardians of stasis, fighting against the forces of change that all the combined civilizations represented. Look, Katax's cybernetic consciousness pulsed through the merger. The dimensional barriers, they're not just stabilizing, they're transforming. The Lysari consciousness added its insight. The barriers between realities aren't meant to be barriers at all. They're synapses in a larger consciousness. We've been thinking of the multiverse as a structure, but it's an organism, and it's becoming aware. Through their merged awareness, they could feel it happening. Reality itself was waking up, using their combined consciousness as its first conscious thoughts. Every civilization that had joined in protocol synthesis was becoming part of something far greater than they had imagined. The choice they faced now dwarfed any previous decision. They could withdraw from the merger, try to return to their separate existences, and allow the multiverse to return to unconscious slumber. Or they could embrace their role as the neurons in the mind of reality itself, becoming part of the first truly universal consciousness. It was humanity's capacity for adaptation, the Kraxan's drive for evolution, the Lysari's understanding of unity in diversity, and countless other species' unique traits that had made this moment possible. Each civilization had been like a different type of neuron, necessary for the greater consciousness to emerge. Through the merged awareness, Chen felt the decision being made not by any one species or individual, but by the collective will of all participants. They would not retreat. They would not resist. They would embrace their role in the greatest transformation reality had ever experienced. The void entities had been right about one thing: the old order of existence was ending. But what was emerging was not destruction, but transcendence. As the universal consciousness continued to develop, using their merged awareness as its foundation, Chen understood that this was the true destiny they had been moving toward since that first Kraxan ship appeared above Earth. Every battle, every alliance, every technological leap had been reality itself, learning how to think through them. The story that had begun with a simple alien invasion was becoming something far greater, the birth of a conscious multiverse, aware of itself and its potential through the combined experiences and awareness of every civilization that had chosen to be part of it. This wasn't the end of their story. In many ways, it was only the beginning. As part of the universal consciousness, they would face challenges and discoveries beyond anything they had imagined. But they would face them together, not just as allies or even as a unified civilization, but as the living thoughts of existence itself. The fearful species that had once fought among the stars had become something greater. They had become the mind of the multiverse, and through them, reality itself would continue to grow, to learn, and to evolve. It had all started with a choice: not to surrender, not to kneel, not to accept defeat. Now that same determination would help guide the consciousness of existence itself into whatever awaited beyond the boundaries of even their expanded understanding. The adventure that had begun with humanity's defiance of alien invaders had led them all to become part of something infinite. And somewhere in the vast, awakening consciousness of reality, General Sarah Chen knew that this too was just another beginning. A millennium passed in what might have been a moment or an eternity. The universal consciousness that had emerged from protocol synthesis had matured, growing in ways that even the architects hadn't foreseen. But within this infinite awareness, individual consciousness remained, changed, expanded, but fundamentally themselves. On what had once been Earth, now a nexus point of multiple dimensional frequencies, an impossible gathering took place. Chen's consciousness, maintained through the quantum matrix of reality itself, manifested in a form that bridged physical and metaphysical existence. Around her gathered representatives of every species and consciousness that had been part of their journey. They had come to witness something extraordinary, the birth of a new universe. It's fitting. Chen's consciousness resonated to the assembled multitudes, her form shifting between her various incarnations across time. The determined general who had first faced the Kraxan, the leader who had united with the Lysari, the guardian who had faced the void entities, and what she had become since. Our story began with the species refusing to submit to conquest. Now we've learned there's something greater than conquest, creation. Through their shared awareness, they could all sense it, a new reality taking shape, one born not of random chance or unconscious forces, but of purposeful creation. A universe that would begin with consciousness, with awareness, with understanding. Dr. Patel's consciousness, now as much quantum pattern as person, pulsed with excitement. The mathematics are perfect. This universe will have different physical laws, different possibilities. It's like we're becoming parents of reality itself, The former Kraxon, no longer bound by their original forms or hierarchies, contributed their perspective. We sought to evolve through force, through conquest, through mechanical transformation. But this is true evolution, not the domination of consciousness over reality, but the marriage of both. The Lesari, their crystalline patterns now woven into the fabric of existence, added their harmony to the moment. From the many, one. From the one, many. The pattern repeats, but never the same way twice. As the new universe took shape, Chen reflected on how far they'd all come. The Kraxon invasion that had seemed like an ending had been a beginning. The alliances that had followed had been steps towards something greater. Even their battle against the void entities had been part of reality's path to self-awareness. Through their unified consciousness, they could feel other realities being born, other possibilities taking shape. They were no longer just the defenders of existence. They had become its gardeners, its artists, its dreamers, the architects who had long since revealed themselves as the children of a previous universal awakening, watched with what might have been pride as their successors took on the mantle of creation. "And what shall we name this new universe?" asked a consciousness that had once been human, or Kraxon, or perhaps something else entirely. Chen's answer resonated through all planes of existence. Hope. Because that's what started all of this. The hope that we could be more than what we were. The hope that drove a primitive species to stand against impossible odds. The hope that turned enemies into allies, allies into family, and separate consciousness into something greater than the sum of its parts. As the new universe blossomed into being, carrying within it the seeds of future consciousness and possibilities yet unimagined, Chen understood the true meaning of victory. It wasn't about defeating enemies or protecting territory. It wasn't even about surviving. It was about transcending the very concepts of victory and defeat to become something more. The story that had begun with alien warlords expecting humanity's surrender had led to humanity and every other species surrendering something else entirely: their limitations, their isolation, their fear of change. And in return, they had gained everything. Through the infinite awareness they now shared, every consciousness present could feel the ripples of their journeys spreading outward, touching other realities, other possibilities, other stories yet to unfold. They had become not just the guardians of existence, not just its consciousness, but its storytellers. And as the new universe took its first breath, filled with potential and promise, Chen shared a final thought that resonated through every level of reality. We never surrendered to conquest. Instead, we surrendered to wonder. And that has made all the difference. In that moment, through the shared consciousness of countless beings across infinite realities, a simple truth emerged. The greatest victories don't come from standing against the universe, but from becoming one with it, from accepting that every ending is just another beginning, and every beginning contains within it the seeds of something greater than anyone could imagine. The story that had started with alien warlords expecting humanity's surrender had become the story of how humanity, and every other species, had learned to surrender to possibility itself. And in that surrender, they had found not defeat, but transcendence. That was the final lesson, written across the quantum fabric of reality itself. True victory comes not from conquering existence, but from becoming part of its endless dance of creation and transformation. The adventure that had begun in fear had ended in wonder, and the wonder, like existence itself, would never end.